So why me? Why me? So I get that question sometimes. Why should we listen to you? Why should we deal with you? And it's a good question because you could be anywhere else in the world right now, but you're here with me. Jay-Z actually said that. So here's the deal. You know, when I was growing up as a kid, I was always told, calm down, relax, chill out, because I was pretty intense as a kid as I am now, but I did repress a lot of that, right? And just hold a lot of that back because I was the kid that when we were playing pickup games, I was going for blood. I was trying to win at all costs and get it done. Everyone's like, go, chill out. You shouldn't be so intense. And I was just that way about things, easily excitable and everything like that. And I held that back, right? Well, what happened over the past year really was I started taking these personality tests. There's all different ones out there, the Myers-Briggs and some other ones, and then there was one called the Gallup Strength Finder test. And what that did is the one I specifically took broke it down to my 5 top strengths, and the thing that kept coming up with all these tests that I kept taking was that I'm competitive, right? And my number one strength in the Gallup test was my competitiveness. And I'm like, this is crap. I'm not even that competitive. And when people said that, I said that, all the people that knew me started laughing, right? And thinking at it and stepping back and looking at it from a different level, it is kind of funny because, you know, look, I've raced professionally as a triathlete. I've played sports my whole life. I'm in sales, which is pretty competitive. I teach people how to break sales records, right? All that's pretty competitive, but I don't even view myself that. But the thing that changed for me is that the Gallup Strength Finder test, right? It said that was a strength for me. That was a strength, and I never really saw that being a strength. I didn't even really know it. It's just kind of those inner things, and a lot of time those inner things that you find natural to you that are your natural gifts, we just take for granted. We're like, oh yeah, whatever, okay? So there's that competitiveness to me. Now, what happened then is I was reading a book by Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll is the head coach with the Seattle Seahawks, and he did a lot of good things with the USC football team too, had a lot of great seasons down there, and he talks about in his book the whole time when I was reading it about competing. He's always been a guy about competing, and he talks about how when he really took his coaching to the next level, it's when he wrote down everything he believed about coaching, right? And he wrote down a system for how he was doing things. And what was pinnacle around all this was competing, right? Getting in there and competing to the fullest. And so he based everything around this. And what happened was Pete Carroll was talking about you sitting down one day and he was watching this video on grit by this woman named Angela Duckworth, who's done all kinds of research around grit. And grit is your ability to stick to something, your stick-to-itiveness. And what they found is that is the number one factor in determining someone's success when they've done studies around naval cadets and people in the military and other areas as well, spelling bee champs and all kinds of things. It's not that someone is more gifted or has a higher IQ or has better physical ability that determines if someone makes it. It's determined by their grit, their ability to stick through things in hard times, right? And stick with things, right? And so she's given this TED Talk, right? She's given this TED Talk, and at the end of this TED Talk, Angela Duckworth says, but we don't know how to develop grit. We don't know how to make that or whatever. So Pete Carroll's watching this on YouTube, and he's like, he calls his assistant, he goes, go get her on the phone. He's like, go get her, go find her, because I know how to develop grit. That is what my system is all about. I develop grit, right? And so he gets Angela Duckworth on the phone like 12 minutes later, and then she comes out, and he's like, look, I'm going to invite you to come out. I just want to show you how you develop grit and how we do it. So Pete Carroll takes her out, and what happens is there's he's showing her just some of the drills that they're doing, right? And you get your offensive lineman versus your defensive lineman. They're doing some drills, and in those drills, it's a lot of like pretty heavy combat, kind of hand-to-hand combat, more or less. And most people look at that combat between those two players, and they say there's a winner and a loser, right? There's a winner and a loser, right? And the way that Pete Carroll looks at it, and this is something that is a huge overarching theme with all the top athletes and top sports psychologists out there. I've studied like Lanny Basham, Timothy Getherway, and all these other top sports psychologists. And Pete Carroll really embraced all this too, is that he's like, it's not about winning or losing, right? It's not about winning or losing. It's about getting in there and competing at the best they can be. So most people see a winner or loser. He sees two guys and he preaches to everyone, to these two guys and the whole team. It's about getting in there and competing. And it's about really when some adversity comes up against you, it's an amazing thing, because what that adversity does is it teaches you how to step up, right? And so his teams love adversity because it gives them the opportunity to compete and make them better. It gives them the opportunity to compete and make them better. Where most people, they shy away from that adversity. Whereas his teams, his players, his guys, they embrace it because they know it's going to force them to take their game up to the next level and compete. And that's it. And if you look at other top coaches too, like John Wooden's, Bill Walsh, all these guys, when I started reading all these books, I'm like, these guys are all about competing, and they didn't ever focus in on winning. They didn't ever focus. So like in sales, they always talk about always be closing, right? And in sales, that's a win when you get the close. And I was like, man, it's not always be closing. It's always be competing, right? Just going in there and giving it your absolute all. Because the fact of the matter is this, is you're not going to win every single time. That's just the way it goes. No matter how good you are at any sport or any business, you're going to take your licks. You're going to have your losses, right? And even though you're doing everything the best you possibly can be doing, you're still going to lose. And if that's the case, it's really easy to get down on yourself. And especially, I'm in sales now. I'm still racing competitively as a triathlete at a very high level. And you can still go out there and give it your all and put everything together in a race or a sale, and you can still lose it. So if all you're worried about and all you're focused in on is winning, it's tough, man. Especially in sales. You get a lot more no's than yeses a lot of the time, right? And so if that's what you're focused in, it's hard to keep your head in the game. But if you go in there and you're just focused in on competing and doing the best you can do, then anything you face and take on is just an opportunity for you to go out there and do the best you can. And that's when you can start to get those wins and take things to the next level. So one of the things that I've always, that I really have embraced, right, is I've come to peace with my competitiveness, right? So everything I do now, I'm just like, compete. I'm cooking eggs in the morning, I'm like, I'm competing. I'm doing the best I can to cook those eggs, and I'm doing the best I can to do this. So this is my long story about why you should listen to me specifically, is I'm going to go in and I'm going to compete every single day just to get a little bit better, right? Just to get a little bit better. And that concept is the concept of Kaizen. Right? The concept of Kaizen, and getting in there and just getting a little bit better, just competing every single day. And that's why you should listen to me, because I'm competing every single day to get better and better and better. And I think if you look at some of my videos from the past, I've been doing these videos for almost a year now, almost 1 year now. I think if you look at those videos going a year back, you're going to see the progression, right? And you listen to my podcast, the same thing. You're going to see the progression. Getting a little better, overall over time, right? So that is my deal. That's why you should listen to me, because I'm going to compete. So I appreciate you watching this, and I'll see ya on the next howtokickassinsales.com tip of the day. Oh, by the way, I got a quiz on my website now at howtokickassinsales.com. You can go take that quiz, or it's actually a test. I call it a test on there. Just a brain fart there. But go check it out, right? Because you can go see how good you really are at sales based on this test. So I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.